I'm Kern Tips. I'd like to welcome you to Humboldt's football highlights of 1956. I believe you'll agree that our cameras have caught the spirit as well as the action of another exciting season of Southwest Conference football play. So let's watch football. This hard-riding Red Raider represents Texas Tech, opponents of the Baylor Bears this late September afternoon in Waco. It's a perfect day for football, so let's watch the Bears and the Raiders open up the season. Early in the first quarter, Traylor goes aloft for Baylor. He fires to Jerry Marcantel for a 14-yard gain and a first in midfield. Here's a switch from mortar fire to the long-range bombardment. Traylor lights a fuse on a big one. Schaffner stags it at the 10-yard line for a great catch and a Baylor touchdown. Kick was wide, 6-0 Baylor. Penalties hurt the Raiders, and Hill has to go to his end zone to kick, but he gets it away nicely, and it's all the way out to midfield. Now watch. Bobby Peters, the Baylor safety man, grabs it. Here comes a tremendous counterpunch for 46 yards. A great run back. Three plays later, Jones rams it over for the Baylor tally. The kick is good, and it's Baylor 13-0. First play, second quarter. Traylor goes back to the firing line. Again, Del Schaffner grabs it, and this works for 27 yards and another Baylor touchdown. It's now Baylor 20-0. Let's move along to the middle of the second period. Traylor throws again, but this time it backfires. Ray Howard moves in to intercept. Now watch the big Tech lineman turn speed merchant on this 32-yard run back. It's Tech on Baylor's 25. Then the Bears got stubborn, and it's fourth down. Don Williams tries for a lot in a hurry. Here's a study in slow motion. A good try, but it failed to work. Baylor staves off the Raiders deep in Bear territory. On the next play, you'll see Doug Duncan. He's number 32. He plays fullback for the Raiders, and he knows the tricks of his trade. Doug fractures the middle for 16, and Tech's in business on the Baylor 8-yard line. It's fourth down, and Tech is still 2 yards out. Hurd goes to his left, but once again, the Bears man the barricades. This drive is halted. Later in the third quarter, Baylor has the ball on the Tech 46. Meet dynamite Larry Hickman, the Baylor fullback. Larry moves our way, finds his blocks, and away he goes for 46 yards and the last score of the day. Final score, Baylor 27, Texas Tech 0. Now let's visit Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. Baylor versus Arkansas, and the Bears spring Bobby Peters on a pitch out down the margin for 14 early in the first quarter. From the Arkansas 38, Doyle Traylor takes over. He pegs out wide to Del Schaffner. Del lights a 14-yard shuck. A few plays later, and it's Traylor at it again. Here comes a bullseye, and the target is Jerry Marcantel. Jerry goes out of bounds just inside Arkansas's 5-yard line. Now here's the payoff. Watch the blocks. Schaffner rambles wide. The gate is open, and he's in for a touchdown. Baylor 7-0. Let's skip along to the third quarter. Arkansas is on the Baylor 20. Don Christian does a neat bit of fancy footwork, then locates a target. Olin Burns is down there, and Olin makes a good grab. He moves for 12 and a first down on Baylor's 8. Here's the option play, and this time you'll see Don Christian have the choice. He elects to keep, and he puts a 2-yard patch on this Arkansas drive. Now for some trick stuff. The Razorbacks pull off a very neat reverse. Rogers Overviz at the end of this daisy chain and goes 7 for a touchdown. Point after ties it up 7-all. Later in the fourth quarter, Baylor gets in a scoring mood again. Here's a good fullback fakery, a pitch to Junior Bell. Junior slides to his left and picks up a dozen yards before he's moved out of bounds on Arkansas's 19. Now Baylor wins a ball game. Bobby Jones calls the option, feeds the ball to Bill. Junior again rides the blocks very well for pay dirt. A good kick made the final score, Baylor 14, Arkansas 7. Remember College Station, the afternoon of October 20. A&M plays TCU in some of the wildest weather in football record. TCU has just taken over on an Aggie fumble and moves with Jim Swink. Here he comes, wide around his own right side in the rain and the mud, and down he goes. But believe me, those 11 yards, he says, were worth that mud bath. Now just 6 yards out, Chuck Curtis fades fast for the pitch. O'Day Williams makes his catch in the end zone, a touchdown. Point fails, it's TCU 6-0. And so it was in the fourth quarter. The Aggies move on their own 20-yard line, first down 80 yards away from the Froggy goal line. John Crow sets this long march in motion with his 21-yard grind, and here the cadets begin to catch on fire. They eat the yards in big bites as Don Watson goes to the other side. Look at those Aggies block, and when Watson is overhauled on this 37-yard scamper, A&M is deep in Froggy territory. And this was the day they said the drought might be broken. From the 19-yard line then, it is Roddy Osmond to get off this pass in the nick of time. John Crow takes the pitch at top speed. This one gobbles up 11 more yards on a first down on TCU's 4-yard line. Then Osborne decides to keep pitching that slippery pig hide. This time he pitches out to Don Watson. Don calls for a running pass to his left. Perfect timing as John Crow makes the catch for the tying touchdown. 6-6. And here was the difference. Lloyd Taylor takes aim. This kick is true to the uprights, and that settled a thrilling game. A&M 7, TCU 6. Now let's go to Rice Stadium in Houston, where the Owls play host to SMU under the lights. Ray Masters tries the left side of the line from the Pony 30 to open the second quarter. He gets a yard before he's smothered by a blanket of blue. And now for a spectacular play on a fast Pony touchdown. Charlie Arnold fades, pulls the trigger on the high hard one. Willard Duval has slipped behind the Owl secondary, makes his catch, and has gone for 69 yards and a touchdown. Tommy Gentry converted to give SMU a 7-0 lead over the Owls. Well, the Owls get that one back in a jiffy. First, Frank Ryan connects with Prime Nash in the left flat. This was good for 6 yards. Then Ryan takes personal command. He goes lightly and politely through the ponies, and when he's nailed after 17 yards, Rice is on the Mustang 7. It's first and goal to go, but there's bad news for those Owls. It's fourth down. Rice fumbles at the goal line, and the ponies take over. Then it happens to SMU. On the next play, the ponies fumble, and Whitmire recovers for the Owls. That's where we came in. Then King Hill pounds the pay stripe. Point is good. 7-7 at halftime. Rice takes the lead early in the third quarter. This 15-yard nifty from King Hill to Bobby Williams sets this drive in motion. And then that same Bobby Williams goes 9 yards to the lip of the cup behind the blue tide at tackle. Then Raymond Chilton bounces over for the score. Extra point is missed. Rice leads 13-7. Then the ponies fight back. Midway in the fourth quarter, Charlie Jackson tees off on this handoff from Arnold. Charlie's in fine running form, and this spirited gallop carries him 37 yards. He's finally overhauled on the Owl 20-yard line. Then SMU decides to go aloft. Charlie Arnold on this play finds Lon Slaughter, who's moved over to the right flat. Lon works the sidelines, and he's inside the Rice 10-yard line. And now from the 4-yard line, the ponies mix the power of the line with the speed of the backfield. Jackson flashes again, 13-13. For the second time this day, extra point is the difference. Gentry converted, and that's all. SMU 14, Rice 13. Here's more action under the arcs. Texas entertains Arkansas in Memorial Stadium in Austin. Ronnie Underwood picks up 11 yards on a first down on Texas 38 as we come in. Now meet Gerald Nesbitt as he blasts for 19 yards to the Texas 4 in this early action, but no pay on the play. Arkansas offside, and so back to Texas 27. But Nesbitt is not a man to be denied. He comes right back for those same 19 yards on this draw play. It's Arkansas on the Texas 9. Then Ronnie Underwood breaks fast and picks up 7 yards on the line to the Longhorn 4. So it's Nesbitt time again. He takes the high road over the line to score. Extra point is blocked. Arkansas leads 6-0 in the first quarter. Then Texas takes the wraps off the pitching arm of Joe Clements. Joe sets it up with a 16-yard toss to Walter Pondren on Arkansas's 4-yard line. Penalties delay the process, but Clements keeps right on a pitching, and this time he hits Bob Bryant down in the end zone to score. Pondren converted, and Texas goes ahead, 7-6. Now watch the Clements to Pondren combination do it again. First, Joe hits Walter for 14 yards on a first down on the Arkansas 31. And then it's the Longhorns 1-2 punch again. With Clements pitching and Pondren catching, the combo hangs up 6 more points. Extra point is good. Texas leads Arkansas 14-6 as they mosey off to the dressing room at halftime. Must have been quite a speech Jack Mitchell made at halftime. Watch these Razorbacks bounce back. For example, this dazzling 57-yard clodbuster by Nesbitt. Here's the way this one looked from the ground floor. Mr. Nesbitt was welcomed warmly in the reception line, but somebody must have hollered fire. He waves farewell and goes for a touchdown. Ritchell converted, but Texas still leads 14-13 in the third quarter. Here comes a thriller minute. Joe Clements starts this play, then stops it. Joe throws, but Underwood intercepts and heads north, and we're off to the races. But then Clements, who threw the first stone, finally grabs Underwood on Texas' 14-yard line. Ronnie traveled 72 yards on the counterpunch. 4 plays later, Don Christian makes like a tuna for the touchdown. Nesbitt converted, Arkansas 20, Texas 14. Then here was the break Arkansas was waiting for. Christian sweeps around end, and the boys from the Ozarks are about to salt this one away. For here comes the 4th Arkansas touchdown as Jerry Ferguson picks up all the marbles to score standing up. Later, the Razorbacks scored again, and the final score, Arkansas 32, Texas 14. We go back under the lights for the Rice-Texas battle before 68,000 at Rice Stadium in Houston. Howard Helcher puts you in the mood with this 15-yard showpiece. And it's Helcher again up the middle for 14 as Rice tries to break a 7-7 tie early in the fourth quarter. This sets up an exciting tally by Ken Williams, so watch this play. As it develops, Ken seems to be in trouble on this pitch out from Frank Ryan, and here's how Houdini used to get out of a straitjacket. Once out in the moonlight, Williams has a foot race with the cheerleaders, and 41 yards later, he's home free for the Owls. Paul converts, Rice leads 14-7. After the kickoff, Texas tries to play catch-up with a passing game. Vince Matthews fires the long pass, labeled for Wayne Wash, but King Hill moves in for Rice. He lays hungry hands on the ball for the Owls, and there's a pat on the back from Charlie Knight as the Owls take over. Ken Williams has his running shoes on. King Hill pitches to Kenneth, and he levels off in an 18-yard flight pattern that sets the Owls in motion again. Halfback Bobby Williams, no relation to Ken, makes it a good night for the Williams boys. Watch Bobby weave around for 13 more to keep this drive alive. Then Rice concentrates on the middle. Howard Helcher shifts into the power drive and bulls his way out of a log jam, bursts into the open spaces and goes 28 yards for the third Rice score. The Owls lead 21-7. Now Rice begins to live it up a little. 4 minutes to go. They tie it all up with the blue ribbon as Ken Williams takes the pitch from Ryan. Final score, Rice 28, Texas 7. Now let's take time out and meet some of the heroes of these rugged battles. I'd like to acquaint you with the members of the All-Southwest Conference Honor Team of 1956 in somewhat less violent surroundings. This is Gerald Nesbitt, the dynamite fullback of the University of Arkansas. Gerald is a physical education major, and here he lets some of his football savvy rub off on the Fayetteville Elementary School team as he instructs them in the fundamentals of the game. And he may be training some of tomorrow's All-Stars in the Ozarks. Nesbitt gets a big kick out of the progress made by his youthful squad of gridiron hopefuls. As a matter of fact, this is sort of laboratory work for his degree in physical education. Now, this may seem a strange skill for a football player, but Billy Ray Smith, star tackle of the Arkansas team, is also an outstanding amateur heavyweight boxer. Billy Ray is a two-time Mid-South Golden Gloves champion, and he went to the NCAA boxing finals. Here's how Smith stays in shape. This quickens his timing and builds up his endurance. By the way, they're predicting a fine future for Billy Ray in pro football. This earnest young man was All-American last year. He's Bill Glass, Baylor's fine guard. Bill spends most of his spare time in the pulpit. He majored in religion, and we find him here in one of his many inspirational talks to young folks. Glass plans to specialize in child welfare work, and he promises himself plenty of time for talks like this, a kind of thing he loves. And if you've heard Bill speak, you'll agree he's All-American here, too. Now meet Jerry Marcantel, Baylor's All-Conference end. We spotted Jerry in the laboratory going over a problem with his chemistry prof, Dr. T.J. Bond. Marcantel is a chemistry major, and he compounds his chemical formulas with the same skill he executes his football formulas, as witness the fact that Jerry was selected to the Scholastic All-Conference team as an outstanding student last year. With his football days behind him, Tommy Gentry, the SMU end, is devoting full time to Mrs. Gentry and their baby daughter. Possibly they're chatting about Tommy's plans for the future as they stroll in a park near the SMU campus. Gentry majored in personnel administration. He was another of the long line of outstanding ends sent to conference schools from Baytown. Now come along to the campus at Texas A&M and chat with the first 2 of 7 Aggie members of the All-Honor team, Lloyd Hale, star center on your left, and Dennis Gehring, star guard. Easy to see these lads are after oil. Hale is a petroleum engineering major. Gehring majors in geology. A football gives way to a rock bit in their practiced hands. But with quarterback Roddy Osborne, it's a matter of keeping your signal straight in the air. Roddy looks into the business end of a plane with instructor Ben Spawn as part of his ROTC Air Force flight training. On the ground and in the classroom, Osborne is preoccupied with his studies as an industrial education major, where he learns the option plays that keep the wheels of industry rolling. Mr. and Mrs. John Crow are anxious to have you meet the youngest of the Crows from Spring Hill, Louisiana. Dad is just as expert handling his son as he is toting a football, isn't he? The Crow family finds the patio of the Student Center a fine place to relax and just enjoy life. And I imagine the Aggies are doing a little future planning about that husky young halfback John so proudly shows you. We found Charles Kruger, the fine Aggie tackle, entertaining Miss Carol Hill at the Student Center. They had a date to meet Jack Pardee, the rugged fullback and linebacker. And when they've got a quorum like this, I somehow doubt that they've got time to talk classroom business, although Charlie and Jack are both business majors. Each of these lads made some All-American teams last year. This young man is seriously concerned with his work in the metal shop at Aggieland. It's John Tracy, the rugged Aggie end, who made the honor team in his sophomore year. John hails from Pennsylvania, and his major is industrial technology. This studious young man wants to be a doctor. You may remember you met him on last year's honor team. It's Jim Swink of TCU. Jim is a pre-med major, and he tells us he's determined to continue his medical studies after graduation. This kind of concentration also helped the Swinker in many a successful piece of football surgery, too. This burly young man is another repeater from last year's team. This is Norman Hamilton, the fine TCU tackle, chatting with a friend. Norman is as well known on the TCU campus as the familiar building in the background that marks this favorite meeting spot for students. Norman has finished his football days at TCU, but fans will long remember the way he carried on a tradition for outstanding play by a horned frog lineman. Well, pictures like these give football a new dimension, don't they? Mostly you and I know these lads as Saturday's children, but I think now we recognize them as young men who are determined to learn, anxious to enjoy life, and to find a path to the future. And now let's go back to football. SMU is playing host to the Aggies in the Cotton Bowl at Dallas. The Aggies are moving here in the first quarter as Lloyd Taylor ambles for 15 yards on a first down on the Pony 15. The Aggie blockers hit hard and often to gouge a hole in the middle, and Big John Crow spins through like a tornado to check in with the first Aggie touchdown. Point fails, A&M 6, SMU nothing. Opportunity knocks again, and the Aggies are right there to roll out the welcome mat. This time Conrad picks off a pass from SMU's Charlie Arnold, and he rams it back 20 yards to the SMU 35-yard line. This sets up another scoring invitation. The Aggies RSVP with gusto for 2 plays later. Don Watson turns mail carrier from the SMU 23. He delivers a registered letter insured for 6 more Aggie points. Again, extra point was missed. The Cadets go into the second period leading 12-0. Time's running out in the first half. The Aggies start to scramble for a quick one. Osmond fakes, keeps, and then runs for 5 to the Pony 13. With 1 minute to play in the half, 13 yards away, John Crow calls 13 his lucky number. He cracks right tackle to prove a point. Taylor converted. A&M leads 19-0 at the half. Then in the fourth quarter, the Aggies have built up a 33-0 lead. Charlie Arnold pitches to Ray Masters to open a touchdown drive. This play got 9 yards. 2 plays later, it's Charlie Arnold to throw again, and Lon Slaughter moves off to the flat. Lon gives it all he's got, but he's short by a matter of inches. A penalty cost the Ponies 5 yards, but that just postponed the deal, for here Charlie Jackson makes like a man with a mission for the Mustangs, and he goes home. Final score, A&M 33, SMU 7. Now let's pick up play late in the first half of the TCU Baylor game on a rainy day at Amon Carter Stadium in Fort Worth. Jim Schaffner of TCU returns this punt, which is off the toe of Larry Hickman, and he's back to the Frog 35, so here we go. Swink strikes a 7-yard blow for the Froggies, but there's bad news ahead for the TCU team. Charlie Curtis pitches out to Jim Schaffner on this one. A hassle on the play, and there goes Junior Bell of Baylor to deliver the pig hide into the hands of the Bears. Now be our guest in the end zone and watch a touchdown come. Bobby Jones heaves to Jerry Marcantel, and Jerry puts a plaster on a 32-yard play that wraps up the first touchdown of the day. Well, maybe you recall this game, and if you do, remember this. It was settled by an extra point. Baylor's try failed to come off. It's Baylor 6, TCU nothing at the half. Then late in the third quarter, Baylor's driving in TCU territory. Bobby Jones is slammed by Big John Groom. A loose ball. Buddy Dyke recovers for the Frogs on their own 36. That was the break the Frogs were waiting for. 4 plays later, Dyke rocks and rolls 31 yards and puts the Froggies in position to open the final chapter in choice position. They're on Baylor's 25. As the fourth quarter opens, TCU's on the Bears 16, so the Froggies take Jim Swink out of the bait box and let him go fishing for himself for 6. Then Schaffner adds vitamin A to this concoction and moves the ball to the 6-yard line. Swink now wears number 35, but don't let the change in numbers fool you. It is still Swink, and he carries to the 1-yard line, and then Curtis sneaks in for the touchdown, and here is a happy Swink to lead the cheers. Now it's Harold Pollard's chance to make 7s out of 6s, and he does. Final score, TCU 7, Baylor 6. It was a bright November day in Lubbock. Texas Tech was entertaining the defending champions TCU. Hamilton kicks off for the Froggies, and Duke Frisbee returns the ball to the Raider 39. Then just 3 plays later, Tech handles its guests in rugged fashion. Charlie Dixon finds a hole in the purple line, and away he goes. It's 60 yards for a touchdown. Extra point makes it an early Tech 7, TCU nothing. Well, this was the Raiders' day to ride. From his own 12, Doug Duncan barges through the gap, and when he's unraveled, Tech is on its own 34. The Raiders keep mixing backfield Sally. Down on this play, Northam scrambles for 3. That seasons the touchdown dish that's in the making. Because with TCU dug in for a fight, it's Doug Duncan who digs out. The dust flies as Duncan slashes right tackle to make camp on TCU's 44-yard line. And then 6 plays later, Tech decides to vary the diet and go for a little fresh air. Don Williams calls a pass. He hits Pat Hartsfield for 13 yards. And with time of the essence in this ball game, Hugh Fewen is the man who knows it, because he counts his seconds and makes it Texas Tech 14, TCU nothing. Now from ground level, let's watch TCU crank up a drive. Dyke blasts 9 to the Tech 49 as the Frogs begin to roll. And 2 plays later, it's Ken Weinberg. He goes to his left, and that's right. TCU has a first down on Tech's 32. Now watch Swink mix him up in the muck of the line, and he comes up all covered with 13 more yards. And then Chuck Curtis calls his own number, and it was a good call, for Chuck keeps at right tackle for 9 and a first down on Tech's 4. Rugged, man, rugged. Then Swink crowns this drive with gold dust for a touchdown. Extra point was good. Tech scored again. Final score, Tech 21, TCU 7. It's Austin on Thanksgiving Day, Texas versus A&M versus tradition, a day to remember in 1956. As we open, Osborne hits Bobby Marks with this pass early in the game. Somebody left the matches near the fireworks, because look what happened. Somebody lit a fuse to John Crow, and the Louisiana skyrocket does not flame out until he's gone 27 yards for a touchdown. And it's A&M 7, Texas nothing. Now Texas lights a firecracker named Walter Pondron. He sputters into the middle of the merrymakers on the line and explodes. This bit of Texas TNT was good for 43 yards, and when the pinwheels came to a stop, they read A&M 13, Texas 7. Now the Aggie War Club counters with another body blow by Lloyd Taylor. Lloyd hammers out 22 yards to the edge of Longhorn Hill. But that's no hill for a climber, says Roddy Osborne, as he plants another Aggie flag for a 20-7 lead. There was a thrill a minute. Lloyd Taylor kicks off for the Aggies. Now watch. Carl Wiley grabs the kick and boomerangs. Carl threads the needle for 57 yards, and when they finally waylay this lad, he has rammed it down to A&M's 28-yard line. Now Texas has to fight the clock. With seconds to play, it's passing Joe Clements to take over, and he fires to Bob Bryant, and that does it for a touchdown. Extra point is good, and the Aggies and Longhorns go to lunch with the score A&M 20, Texas 14. Here's a picture play for your memory book, one that tells you a football story in 20 seconds. Jack Pardee takes the second half kickoff at the goal, and he rumbles toward home. The big guy just runs over people. But here comes the challenger, Joe Clements. There's a foot race, and a bang, a collision. 85 yards on the return, and an unhappy, frustrated Pardee hits the ground on Texas 15. Well, Pardee got most of that, so the Aggies decided to give him all of it, and Jack does not disappoint. He wades into the end zone from 8 yards out. A&M 27, Texas 14. Texas fought hard for its finest moment in this dramatic game, and late in the day, Joe Clements waits for Bob Bryant to get clear, and then he hits him for a touchdown, but it was too late. Final score, A&M 34, Texas 21. New Year's Day and the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. The Southwest Conference representative, Texas Christian, plays host to the Eastern champion, Syracuse University from New York. And tradition is served. TCU comes out for a second straight appearance in the Cotton Bowl as defenders of the Southwest Conference, escorted by a gang of young admirers. To start the new year, TCU comes out pitching. Chuck Curtis finds O'Day Williams a favorite target. They put together a football duet that sings for 27 yards. A few plays later, Curtis lifts another bomb into the O-zone, and Nickel makes the most of the fallout. Extra point is coming at you after this touchdown, and it's TCU 7, Syracuse nothing. Early in the second quarter, the Frogies go by air again for another touchdown. Curtis heaves this one to Jim Schaffner for a second score, and Jim is welcome to the Cotton Bowl circle. TCU 14, Syracuse nothing. Now meet Syracuse All-American Jim Brown. This is the kind of power generated by this pounding yard maker all year, good for 19 this time. The Orange men are now at the 2, and in slow motion, you see Jim Brown drive for the score. He also added extra point, TCU 14, Syracuse 7. The big guy from the East can throw as well as run. Watch him connect with a perfect peg to Jim Redlon for a 20-yard gain. That goes to TCU's 4, where Curtis and makes an all-out dive to stop the play on the sideline. A minute and a half to go, no time to waste on non-essentials, so Brown takes a pitch out. He's gone home. Point is good, and at half it's 14-14. Now let's watch a great halftime show featuring the famous Kilgore Rangerettes. football, here's a young man in a dilemma, but hardly on the horns of one, because Chuck Curtis has two good legs that get him out of quarterback troubles and carry him 15 yards to the Syracuse 46. A little later, Curtis fakes a pass. Then he goes to his left and he travels 7 yards to a touchdown. Extra point is good, and late in the third quarter, the Froggies lead 21-14. It's early in the final period. Here's the way you validate your All-American credentials. Watch Jim Swink make an All-American catch for 30 yards to the Syracuse 15. Then the Froggies call on their powerhouse. His name is Buddy Dyke, and he massages the middle for 11 to the Syracuse 4. And what a touch for the finale. Swink rams for a touchdown to try to sew it up. Then Pollard converted, and as we move along in the final period, it's TCU 28, Syracuse 14. Looks like a good margin, but in the Cotton Bowl, margins are uncertain things, as you'll see. Here comes Jim Brown of Syracuse running back the kickoff to the middle of the field. Dyke and Curtis finally cut him down. And here are three fast plays that spell out this Syracuse rally. First, Brown almost does it to the 1. Then Redlon tries it, but Mendoza and Dyke stave him off. And this next one does it because Jim Brown drives for the touchdown, and here was the difference in the ball game coming up. You'll remember this try for extra point. Brown is back to kick, but watch. Chico Mendoza dives in to block it, and that was the eventual difference. It's TCU 28, Syracuse 20, because Charlie Zimmerman passed 27 yards to Redlin for another Syracuse touchdown, and Brown kicked goal this time, but that one extra point was the difference. TCU 28, Syracuse 27. And so go football highlights of 1956. Be sure to join us again when we go to the games with Humble.